Okay, so usually I wouldn't really make a video like one after another on a situation like this, but it seems like it's getting to the point where it's gotten pretty bad. And obviously we are talking about the Zentreya situation. Now, in my last video, we talked about a lot of the VTuber support that's actually coming her way, especially from, many VTubers that were outraged over the fact that people were annoyed at her model. And if you haven't been caught up in all of this, I do have 2 videos that have been covering this, right? But again, essentially Zentreya released a new model, which me personally, I think looks absolutely amazing. Here is like one of them. Obviously, it had a hat on as well. And I think it looks great. And obviously there was a lot of people out there though that were essentially trying to say that she looked like, a World War II Germany kind of, it looked like a uniform like of that kind of descent or whatever, right? But again, I don't think that is the case, and a lot of people don't think that's the case either. It just seems like some kind of normal military kind of outfit. And again, this is depicted in so many different genres of like media, including obviously anime, games and things like that. We went over like, for example, Azure Lane and places like that, which essentially, use similar kind of designs. But apparently people have an issue with Zentreya's one, which is pretty ridiculous. But the reason why I'm actually giving an update right now is because Zentreya recently actually posted a tweet essentially talking about the fact of it might be over for her model for now. And essentially she says, I'm done, I'm so tired, I just wanted to have an awesome end of the year. I've been through so much and you kicked me when I was about to get back up. I tried to fix things, I will go back and see what can be changed, or if I scrap the entire model. It's not worth losing friends. I wasn't even losing any friends. Everyone was happy with me because they know me, but them getting harassed as well to where they are tired to as well has hurt so many other people. This is just tiring, man. I'm tired. And yeah, it sucks. The amount of harassment the Zen has been facing has been absolutely insane. Obviously, I've showcased a ton of it on the previous videos if you want to go back and look at that, right, and see what exactly they're saying. This was one that I found actually recently, a couple of hours ago. Obviously, people over on Blue Sky as well think it's their own, safe space or whatever to talk whatever they like about VTubers. And obviously, they say, how many viewers does this weird AI Nazi VTuber have? Which I think is crazy. Obviously, as well, they're saying, what are the name is that thing? And a lot of them didn't even know who Zentreya was, but were immediately labeling her as a Nazi, which I think is absolutely insane, especially whenever you don't do your research into exactly who she is, what she's about, and why exactly her model looks like that. Because again, obviously there are some VTubers out there, like we've covered recently, right, that legitimately have a model like that because they want to look like that, and they are supporting those kind of views. But Zentreya is not the case at all. This is completely separate. This is completely something different. And obviously I think maybe the association that people have, especially with those other VTubers, they use similar things. Maybe some people have an issue with that. But again, there's been so many people, for example, like Shonda, who we talked about in the last video, who also had a very similar model. Obviously, it wasn't black and red, but she literally became, in obviously her words, an emoto dictator, which obviously was quite funny. And I thought it was very funny, and it was a cool model and everything like that. But nobody had a problem with that. But as soon as it came to Zentreya, for some reason, everybody has started to go after them. And yeah, it seems like if you guys look at her X thing, essentially her profile picture has changed. Obviously her banner has changed back to what it used to be, or I don't know about the banner, but I know the profile picture has changed back to what it used to be. And yeah, it seems like she's removed a lot of the branding associated with the model. Obviously, the posts previously have not disappeared, and it's a big shame because it seems like there's been a lot that has been put into this VTuber debut, including a song, including some animation stuff. Again, it was really cool, really well thought out, and it just sucks that this has had such a negative feedback from some people who for some reason can't decipher the difference between things. And it's insane, right? And especially, she goes on to talk about the fact that, it's not worth losing friends, which, again, I can totally understand why she has had to pull it if this is the case. Because, as she says, even there, she wasn't losing friends over it. People weren't mad at her. Her own friends, knew exactly, what the model was about, and that she wasn't promoting any of that kind of stuff that some people were claiming that she was. But it's actually due to the fact that her friends are now getting harassed for being friends with her, or for, obviously, you can kind of guess exactly exactly what they are saying in terms of, you know, the messages and whatever, saying, you know, how dare you be friends with this person who supports this and whatever. You know, it happens with pretty much everybody, and not just VTubers, just anybody on the internet that is has some kind of following and is friends with another person. They go, how dare you support this? You literally support that yourself if you also are friends with this person, which first of all off isn't, you know, true. This is a thing that happens quite a lot, especially with like political opinions. Obviously, yes, whenever it comes to much heavier topics, sure, I think, you know, kind of associating with those people isn't the best. But whenever it comes to lighter things, you know, like political views or whatever, that can be kind of debatable. Some people, you know, see it as like the worst thing on planet Earth, which I think is crazy. Because again, obviously everybody has different opinions on stuff. So I think, you know, obviously telling someone they can't be friends with someone else because they have a different opinion to what they do is kind of crazy. But that isn't even the case in Zentreya's thing. She doesn't believe in any of the stuff that, you know, obviously people are trying to associate with her with. They're literally just getting mad at, you know, a design choice. And people have been, you know, pointing out, oh, what about the cap, and what about this, and what about that? But again, at the end of the day, there is no actual imagery in terms of actual symbols or anything like that, or even anything within her actual, you know, kind of speech and how she's talking about it and everything to do with any of the stuff that they have been claiming that, you know, she's kind of basing this design off, which I think is absolutely crazy. And yeah, I think that if you can't understand the nuance of having a model that has red and black kind of accents to it, and white as well, and you know, kind of separating that from an actual uniform from what you might see, because again, I don't think this is exactly, you know, let's just look at this here, right? Let's just zoom in, like, again, not to make this video weird, but, you know, if you look at this aspect, I don't think this would be allowed in the German military. I'm gonna be honest, right? I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that would be allowed. And also, you know, you look at some other features of this, you know, you can see the big kind of, you know, fluffy coat thing. Again, I don't think I've seen that. Maybe there is. Again, I haven't watched enough documentaries, sure. But again, you know, there's so many other things that they've changed, including like the kind of dragon wings as well, which I think people are just totally missing the kind of point of. And, you know, she even pointed out the fact that the original artist added an armband onto there, which, again, I do think would have looked absolutely terrible for her. That 100% would have kind of crossed the line, and I think, you know, would have been deserved. But she even asked the artist, hey, you know, that's a bit weird. People aren't going to take that the right way. I know it's supposed to do with like some other Japanese kind of stuff, right? But again, it's still, you know, people are still going to think about it badly. So they actually actively, you know, got rid of it and went, oh, okay, yeah, we'll remove that from the model to obviously, you know, better suit it. But for some reason, people still got mad. And, you know, you can't point to a specific symbol or to a specific thing that Zentreya has said, right? There's nothing in particular that she has said or showcased or whatever that people can actually point out. All they go is, oh, well, the hat looks kind of funny, and, you know, it's also like black and red. And that's all they've got. You know, that is literally all they've got. Or they literally just say stuff like this. They just go ahead and label the VTuber without giving an explanation as to why they think this is the case, right? And again, I do think it is pretty crazy. No symbols, no nothing being shown, no kind of actual, you know, points or directions to this kind of stuff, but people are still getting angry to the point where they're harassing them. And honestly, I think you're even worse of a person. You know, you're not a good person for harassing all of these people just because you think that this uniform is to do with like Nazi stuff, right? You're not a good person just for going and harassing all of their friends and everything like that for, you know, just a uniform that you personally think isn't, you know, right in your eyes, right? You're not better. You're not like some kind of like moral police where you can go around and harass their friends and tell them that, you know, they can't be friends with them or whatever, or even worse, you know, obviously I can't even imagine what kind of messages they're all getting. I don't think, you know, you are in any position to do that. Sure, you know, if you really, really feel that strongly about it and you think that, you know, this is 100%, don't watch her. That's totally fine. You know, I think that if you feel like that, fine. Do that. But again, I think there's a lot of people out there who kind of just see that, hey, this isn't actually that big of a deal. But again, people are making a big deal to the point where Zen has had to pull the model, and it seems like she won't be using it until, you know, she can see what can be changed, or if she scraps the entire model. And you guys know how expensive these things are, not only with all of the kind of, you know, pre-stuff that has been done, for example, like the animation, like the song and stuff like that that was taking place, right? But not only that, but also everything around it too, like the actual model itself. the model itself costs a lot to make, and it will probably cost a lot to change if she is going to change it, and also it's going to be a big waste of money if she ends up scrapping it. Either way, it's going to cost a lot of money, and yeah, all over some people on Twitter that for some reason just can't control themselves. As well, you got Smuggler saying, I'm sorry you're going through it, man. People are so stupid. Freem saying, Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry, dude. People need to chill out. Those that know you. Like, dude, as someone that has been following you since your early days as a viewer, then as a supporter, then as an artist, now as your friend. Wild how so many people don't understand what you've gone through the gulag already and stood on top no matter what. Yeah, screw these goddamn kids, man. I love you, your friends love you, and we all stand through thick and thin. Gecko standing strong. You'll forever be my redhead as death. Which again is 100% true. This could 100%, that is just one example of what this character looks like. This does look like a red and black variant of Esdeath. You guys know the character Esdeath from, I forgot what the anime is, but again, it's a popular anime character. Go search it up if you don't know what it is. But again, even Freem there kind of adding in an example of what this design has taken inspiration from. And yeah, people still decide to take it way too far, right? And I think that is crazy, and it is good to see that she has like friends publicly supporting her too, because I know a lot of people would probably be scared to, especially with all of the harassment that obviously they've been getting. I know a lot of people would be scared to kind of say anything about it and to kind of publicly actually reply to it. But again, it is good to see that she's got good friends that are obviously, not scared to speak up publicly and support her publicly, which I think is great. A lot of people saying, oh, Zen, I'm so sorry that people have driven you to such lengths. It's not worth scrapping something you love and everything you worked hard on. These people need to get a grip and a life. I'm so sorry you're feeling so down. Please know that you're not alone, and people who are ending their friendship with you over this were very clearly never truly your friend. Keep your head up, you're going to be okay, I promise. My DMs are always open for you as well if you need anything. So yeah, obviously a lot of very nice messages there for Zen. And again, as Zen kind of clarified, she wasn't even losing any friends. It was just that a lot of people have been harassing her friends, which obviously can kind of cause a lot of problems between people, not because they necessarily don't want to be friends or anything, but, because of the harassment. And I think, Zen is also being a good friend by actually considering, I guess, the fact that they are also facing a lot of the consequences from, because sometimes some people can kind of just like take it all themselves and they'll be like, okay, fine, I'm just going to take all of this hate and it'll go away eventually, because again, this probably would calm down in a couple of weeks time. Obviously there'll be still some little spurts of it and people getting annoyed here and there, but again, it would calm down. But the thing is, whenever you have a large friend group, especially in the VTuber space, right, Zen's very, very well connected with a lot of people. Some of those people then start to catch the crossfire, and then it's like, okay, then it starts to become an issue. Whereas if you're like a content creator who maybe doesn't interact with as many people or aren't closely tied to people, sometimes it's easier just to take it all and just go, okay, I'm just going to, tank it all. But then once, you consider friends and things that are also being affected by it, then it obviously, it gets to a point where you kind of have to pull the plug, at least to, save them rather than yourself, right? So again, I can totally understand why she's decided to pull it. Again, I know a lot of people have been kind of going at her for the fact of like, you shouldn't apologize, you shouldn't be apologetic for it. And again, I don't think she's even being necessarily apologetic for it, because she's being like, I'm so tired, I'm so done. She sounds frustrated by it rather than apologetic by it, right? And that is 100% true. And I think that, also you got to consider everything that Zentreya has been through this entire past year. It seems like, as she says there, she wanted to end off the year with, something good, something awesome that she could do. And obviously a debut is one of the biggest things you can do, one of the best things you can do, which would have ended a pretty terrible year for them, considering all of the V-Shoujo stuff. Also, don't even, forget about all of the other stuff with Ariel, which we covered as well, which was a whole thing, which I think ended up getting sorted anyways. But you can still tell how hectic this past year has been for Zen, and also a lot of the vShoujo members and other VTubers in the space as well that have also been affected by everything that is going on. And obviously it sucks that this is now being added on to the list of Zen's problems for 2025, which I think, definitely does suck. And I feel very sad to see, obviously that Zen is struggling with it, and that, hopefully, she can sort things out, find a better maybe alternative or something that maybe suits people. But again, I think at the end of the day, no matter what she comes back with, I think she's always going to have people that are going to be hating on her. That's just how they are. They find one thing, and even if you do apologize, even if you do take the model back, even if you do anything, they will just continue to attack you. So again, I do think it's still going to carry on. The harassment is still going to carry on. Maybe not as much as we think it, will, or it has been so far. But I think that some people do often get pretty relentless whenever it comes to this kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't think it's going to solve all the problems, but I do think it's going to solve a lot of the problems, especially for her friends, and hopefully her friends can deal with it, and hopefully, yeah, things sort themselves out in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, I'll keep you guys up to date if there's any changes to this model, or if she decides to scrap it or whatever. Again, it seems like she's pretty unsure in terms of what she's going to do with the model, but again, I'll keep you guys up to date if there's anything. But sorry for the second video about it. I know that usually I like to kind of split it up by things, but I thought this is pretty important news that just came out literally like 2 hours after me uploading the last video on it, which I thought was crazy. But again, it is sad to see, and hopefully Zen can sort it all out. But yeah, that's essentially all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSups, use my code Kazza, get 10% off. Again, they got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.